My child, I know the ache you have carried in silence. I know what it feels like to lie awake and wonder why love seems to pass you by, why the person you prayed for has not arrived, why the one you trusted may have wounded you so deeply that your heart learned to flinch before it hopes. I know the secret grief you do not say out loud, the grief that whispers, maybe I was never meant to be chosen. Maybe I am too late. Maybe I am too much. Maybe I was forgotten. Beloved, I have seen every tear you swallowed before anyone else noticed. I have heard the prayers you barely had the strength to finish. I have watched you smile when your chest felt hollow, and I have watched you question whether I was truly writing a story for you or whether everyone else was being blessed while you were left behind. You have asked, Jesus, where is the one you promised me? Why does it feel like I keep losing people who said they cared? Why does every door close just when I begin to trust again? And because the waiting became so heavy, you started searching in places that promised relief but could not give you truth. You looked for a sign in every number that repeated, every message that came at the right moment, every song lyric that seemed to answer your loneliness. You wondered if manifestation could pull the right person into your life if you just believed hard enough. You listened for luck. You watched for timing. You tried to decode every coincidence like it was heaven speaking in secret. My child, I understand why you did that. I understand the desperation behind it. When the heart is hurting, it will cling to anything that feels like hope. But I am speaking to you now because I want to bring you back from confusion into clarity. I am not offended by your questions. I am not angry that you looked for comfort. I am simply telling you the truth. What you are longing for cannot be built on anxiety, guesswork, or fear. It cannot be sustained by chasing signs and calling it peace. It must be rooted in me. I am the one who sees the end from the beginning. I am the one who knows what your soul truly needs, not only what your emotions demand in the moment. Beloved, there is something you have not considered. While you were wondering whether you were loved, I was dealing with the hidden places in the heart of the one you call your soulmate. Yes, the one you have prayed about. The one whose name you may have whispered in tears. The one you may have released, or the one you have not yet met. They never expected to feel this way about you. Not at first. They did not plan to be undone by your kindness, your strength, your quiet faith, your ability to carry pain without becoming bitter. They did not expect your presence to stir something deep in them, something they could not explain away. You see, my child, some hearts resist what is genuine because they have been trained by disappointment. Some souls arrive guarded, wary, and convinced that love will eventually cost them too much. So when I begin to write your name into their story, they feel it before they understand it. They feel disturbed in the best way. They feel exposed. They feel the pull of something holy and unfamiliar. That is why the connection feels delayed, why the distance feels strange, why what should have been simple has required so much patience. I have been dismantling old fears in both of you. Do not mistake the delay for denial. Do not mistake the silence for absence. I am never late, my child. I am precise. I am surgical. I do not rush what would break you if it arrived before its time. I do not place a fragile bond into hands that still tremble with old wounds. I do not join two souls while pride is still speaking louder than honesty, while fear is still masquerading as wisdom, while unfinished pain is still demanding control. I love you too much to build your future on what cannot hold. And yes, there is spiritual warfare around this. You have felt it. The sudden confusion, the emotional heaviness, the nights where your mind spiraled and your heart grew tired for no reason you could explain. The strange moments when every step forward seemed met with resistance. My child, darkness always opposes what I am blessing. The enemy cannot stop my plan, but he will try to exhaust your faith. He will whisper that you are unwanted. He will tell you that everybody else is being found while you are being overlooked. He will tempt you to settle for counterfeit love just to silence your loneliness. But I am calling you higher. I am reminding you that your worth was never determined by who stayed, who left, who texted back, who confessed their feelings, or who failed to see your value. Your value was settled at the cross. You are not an afterthought to me. You are not a backup plan. You are not a lesson for someone else's healing. You are mine. And the love I have for you is not shallow, not temporary, not confused. It is purposeful. There are things happening in the unseen realm that you have not been able to measure yet. Hearts are being softened. Lies are being uncovered. Motives are being exposed. Places where the enemy planted fear are being uprooted. What looked like rejection was, in part, protection. What looked like silence was often my mercy keeping you from settling for something that would have drained your spirit. I know that is hard to hear when all you wanted was to be loved and chosen. But listen to me, beloved. I am not withholding goodness from you. I am preparing it. And the one I have for you, the one your heart has wondered about, never expected to feel this deeply. They did not expect to be convicted by your faith. They did not expect your patience to unsettle their excuses. They did not expect to think of you when they were alone, or to feel a strange hunger for the peace they sense around you. They may not have the words yet, but something inside them is being awakened. I am not speaking to fantasy. I am speaking to the slow, sovereign work of my hand. So breathe, my child. Stop trying to force what I am already orchestrating. Stop punishing yourself for being in a season that is teaching you discernment. Stop asking the world to validate what I have already spoken over you. I see the loneliness. I see the longing. I see the nights you almost gave up on believing love could be holy, safe, and real. But I am here, and I am not finished. I am breaking the silence now because I want you to know this. The person I am preparing for you will not simply glance your way and move on. They will feel the weight of your presence. They will recognize that something sacred has entered their life. And even if they do not understand it at first, they will never be able to deny that meeting you changed everything. My child, I know why you reached for anything that promised certainty. I know why your heart became so vulnerable to signs, to patterns, to voices that sounded confident even when they were empty. It was not because you were foolish. It was because you were tired. It was because disappointment kept knocking at your door until your spirit began to look for shortcuts. When pain lasts long enough, even strong faith can begin to crave immediate relief. You were afraid of being left behind, afraid of wasting years, afraid that if you did not somehow control the outcome, love would pass you by forever. And beneath that fear, there was pressure, real pressure, bills that did not wait, responsibilities that did not soften, a body that grew tired, a heart that felt like it had already carried too much. You began to think, if I do not find this now, if I do not secure this now, if I do not figure this out now, I may never have the life I long for. That is a heavy burden for any soul to bear. And there was broken trust, beloved. I see it clearly. Someone promised you more than they gave. Someone showed you enough tenderness to make you believe, then left you with questions instead of clarity. Perhaps they chose someone else. Perhaps they changed. Perhaps they made you feel safe just long enough for the wound to cut deeper when it ended. And when trust is broken, the heart starts making strange agreements. It says, I will trust no one again. Or, I will trust anyone who seems certain. Or, I will trust myself only, because people disappoint. These vows may have felt like protection, but they slowly became prisons. Then there was pride, my child, though not the kind that always looks like arrogance. Sometimes pride is simply the desperate need to say, I can fix this myself. Sometimes pride is the refusal to admit how much you need me. Sometimes pride is hiding behind self-reliance because asking for help feels too vulnerable. You wanted to be the one who solved it. You wanted to be the one who made the right choice, who chose correctly, who avoided embarrassment, who never looked foolish again. So you tried to read the future, to outsmart heartbreak, to build certainty out of fear. But I am telling you now, the future was never yours to control. It was always mine to carry. I am not condemning you, beloved. I am revealing the root so I can heal it. Because when I expose the root, I do not do it to shame you. I do it to free you. You were looking for love, yes, but you were also looking for relief from the ache of not knowing. And I understand that ache. I understand why the unknown can feel like a threat when your past has taught you to brace for loss. But my child, I do not lead by anxiety. I lead by covenant. I do not forget what I have spoken. I do not abandon what I began. Remember Job. He lost what looked precious in a day. He sat in ashes and wondered what remained. His friends spoke loudly, but they did not know the heart of the matter. The enemy wanted him to believe that suffering meant abandonment. But I was still there. I was still sovereign over the storm, sovereign over the silence, sovereign over the restoration that came after the breaking. And when Job's season changed, it did not happen because he forced it. It happened because I had a purpose in the pain and a mercy waiting on the other side. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. Remember Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold, misunderstood, forgotten in prison. He had no control over the betrayal, no control over the false accusations, no control over the timing. Yet every delay was shaping him, preserving him, positioning him. What looked like abandonment was actually assignment. What looked like the end was only the beginning of a larger story. Joseph could not see the palace from the pit, but I could, and I brought him from the prison to the place I had already prepared. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. Remember David, my child, anointed, yet overlooked, chosen, yet sent back to the field. He had to learn that being unseen by people does not mean being unseen by me. David was not formed in the palace first. He was formed while tending sheep, while worshiping alone, while learning to trust me in hidden places. The giant did not appear by accident. It exposed what had already been forged. And when the moment came, David did not defeat Goliath with human strength or public approval. He stood in the memory of every battle I had already won for him. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. Remember Moses, who thought his story was too broken to matter. He had a past. He had failure. He had ran. He had a stutter, a resistance, a wilderness season that lasted far longer than his pride would have chosen. But I met him in a burning bush, in holy ground, in the very place he believed was ordinary. I called him from exile into purpose. I did not choose him because he was polished. I chose him because I was with him. And when he doubted himself, I did not deny his weakness. I covered it with my strength. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. Do you see it, beloved? I have never required perfect circumstances to move. I have never needed human approval to fulfill my will. I have never been intimidated by delay. The same God who kept Job, who guided Joseph, who raised David, who sent Moses, is the one speaking to you right now. And if I handled their stories with such precision, then why do you think I have lost control of yours? You have been interpreting some of the hardest moments as evidence against my love, when in truth they were evidence of how deeply I have been working behind the scenes. The closed doors were not random. The timing was not wasted. The heartbreaks were not meaningless. I was separating the real from the counterfeit. I was teaching your heart to discern peace from performance, covenant from convenience, calling from chemistry. Because the soulmate I have ordained for you will not only be drawn to your beauty, they will be confronted by your depth. They will not only admire your tenderness, they will be changed by your truth. But first, I had to deal with what could have damaged the connection before it even began. I had to break the power of fear that would have made you cling too tightly. I had to humble the pride that would have made you reject gentle love because it did not arrive in the packaging you expected. I had to heal the financial anxiety that could have turned intimacy into survival. I had to restore trust so you would not confuse one person's failure with everyone's future. I am still doing that work, my child, even now. And while I work, I am also dealing with the one you have prayed for. They have their own hidden battles, their own resistance, their own wounds. But do not assume they are untouched by this. Do not assume they feel nothing. They have been feeling more than they know how to name. Sometimes they pull away because the closeness unsettles them. Sometimes they resist because what they feel is exposing what they have buried. Sometimes they act casual when their spirit is being confronted by something eternal. I am not telling you to chase them. I am telling you to trust me with what their heart is learning in secret. Beloved, I am the God who speaks in process, not just in outcomes. I am the God who writes destiny with patience. So when you feel the old panic rising again, remember this. I am not building your life on panic. I am building it on promise. I am not asking you to pretend the pain did not happen. I am asking you to let me redeem it. And I am not finished with the one I have chosen to awaken beside you. Their heart is being prepared to recognize what you already carry. My child, I want you to sit with this for a moment. Not rush past it. Not defend yourself. Just let the truth touch the places you have kept hidden even from your closest friends. There are nights you have stared at the ceiling wondering how much more your heart can take. There are mornings you woke up already tired, already bracing for bad news, already feeling like your body was carrying a weight your mind could not fully explain. I know those mornings. I know the silence of them. I know how the light can look the same while your whole world feels different. Some of you have faced job loss, and it shook more than your finances. It shook your identity. You wondered if being let go meant you were being left by me. You wondered if the timing was cruel. You wondered how you could keep believing in provision when your paycheck stopped and your plans suddenly had nowhere to stand. Beloved, I saw every application you filled out with trembling hands. I saw every interview where you tried to smile through the fear. I saw every time you felt embarrassed to admit you were struggling because you did not want to be seen as weak. But hear me, I was not absent in that season. I was redirecting you. Some of you went through divorce, and the grief has not always looked like grief to others. It looked like a schedule being rearranged, a house going quiet, a chair staying empty, a name that still felt strange to say aloud. It looked like having to rebuild yourself in a world that assumed you should already be over it. But I know what that rupture did inside you. I know how trust can feel shattered into pieces too small to gather. I know the humiliation of public disappointment. I know the private questions that rise when a covenant breaks and you are left asking, was any of it real? My child, I am near to the brokenhearted. Not near in theory. Near in the room. Near in the tears. Near in the long nights when the memories hit hardest. Some of you have been battling illness, either in your own body or in someone you love, and it has made everything else feel smaller and more fragile. When your body aches, when your energy disappears, when doctors say words you did not want to hear, the soul begins to search for something steady. And sometimes in that searching, you start asking if love will ever come, if there will ever be enough time, if your life can still hold joy when pain keeps interrupting it. Beloved, I am not only Lord over your future romance. I am Lord over your breath, your health, your strength, your recovery, your peace. I have not forgotten the pain in your body while I prepare the joy in your heart. And some of you have been betrayed in ways that have made trust feel almost impossible. A friend who talked behind your back. A family member who used your vulnerability against you. A partner who said one thing and did another. A person who saw your sincerity and thought it was weakness. Betrayal can make a person build walls so high that even good love struggles to enter. I know. I know the way it causes you to question every kindness. I know how you replay the conversation, the smile, the promise, the lie. You keep asking yourself where you missed it. You keep wondering what you should have seen sooner. My child, the betrayal was not your fault. And I am not asking you to become naive. I am teaching you wisdom without losing tenderness. Yes, even the sleepless nights matter to me. Those long hours when your thoughts race and your heart pounds and you reach for your phone just to feel less alone. The nights when you see old photos and wonder what could have been. The nights when your mind rehearses conversations that never happened or imagines futures you are scared to want. The nights when you finally whisper, Jesus, if you are there, please just tell me what is going on. Beloved, I heard that whisper. I hear it still. And I am answering not with vague comfort, but with truth. But there is something I need you to know before I say anything else. What felt like a delay was preparation. Yes, my child, the waiting was not wasted. The pauses were not punishments. The closed doors were not proof that I had forgotten your desire. They were the evidence that I was building something stronger than your fear, deeper than your fantasy, and more stable than your current understanding. You wanted arrival. I was working on readiness. You wanted the promise. I was strengthening the vessel that would carry it. The delay was preparing your discernment so you would not mistake intensity for intimacy. It was preparing your boundaries so you would not hand your heart to someone who only knew how to handle the surface of you. It was preparing your identity so you would not make another person the center of your peace. It was preparing your spirit so when love came, you would not greet it with panic, but with peace. You were not being denied, beloved. You were being developed. Do you understand why this matters so much? Because the version of you that existed at the beginning of the journey could not have carried what is coming now. If I had given you everything you wanted before I healed what hurt you, the blessing would have become too heavy. You would have leaned on the relationship to prove your worth. You would have read every silence as danger. You would have asked the other person to heal what only I could mend. That is not love. That is burden. And I would never call a burden a blessing. So I allowed the process. I allowed the pruning. I allowed the stripping away of illusions that kept your heart attached to what could not satisfy it. I allowed the lonely seasons where you had no choice but to face the ache and bring it before me. Because in those private moments, I was teaching you how to receive without clinging, how to trust without controlling, how to wait without despairing. Think about the moments you almost gave up. The job application you thought would never come through. The apology you thought would never be spoken. The diagnosis that made you fear the future. The divorce papers that seemed like the end of everything familiar. The friend who stopped answering. The person you loved who could not or would not choose you. I saw all of it. And I was there in the invisible spaces between what you lost and what you were becoming. You may have thought I was silent because I was distant, but I was actually silent because I was shaping what your heart would be able to recognize when the answer finally arrived. There are blessings that sound beautiful but would be dangerous in the wrong season. There are relationships that look promising but would collapse under unhealed wounds. There are people who would love you in the way they know how, but not in the way your calling requires. So I delayed not because I withheld mercy, but because I loved you enough to make room for the real thing. And now I am asking you to see your past differently. That painful relationship that ended before you thought it should have. That season of being overlooked at work. That long stretch of praying while others seemed to receive quickly. That quiet year when it felt like nothing was happening. I was not ignoring you. I was protecting the depth of what I had planned. I was preventing premature attachment to counterfeits. I was breaking cycles that had followed your family line for years. I was teaching you that my promises do not expire because your patience is tested. My child, listen carefully. When your soulmate enters your life, or when the one I am refining comes closer to the point of honesty, you will realize that the delay was not just about the other person. It was about you too. You needed time to stop confusing attention with love. You needed time to stop accepting scraps because you were hungry for affirmation. You needed time to stop building your future around what was uncertain. You needed time to let me become enough before any human heart tried to take my place. I know this can feel like a hard word, but it is a loving one. There were moments when you were willing to settle because the pain of waiting felt worse than the pain of disappointment. There were moments you considered forcing something to happen or staying in something that was already dying, just so you would not have to face the emptiness again. But I kept intervening. Sometimes it was through discomfort, sometimes through conviction. While you were wondering whether anyone would ever truly see you, I was preparing someone who would not only see you, but be transformed by what they see. They will not just notice your outward beauty. They will feel the weight of your spirit. They will sense the integrity you carried through the fire. They will be confronted by the peace that survived what should have broken you. But even that is not the deepest part. The deepest part is that I have been preparing your heart to receive love without fear. That is the real miracle. Because a soul can meet the right person and still sabotage the moment if it remains trapped in old wounds. A soul can be desired and still feel unworthy. A soul can be chosen and still run. So I am not only preparing them for you. I am preparing you for the kind of love that will not need to be chased, performed for, or manipulated. Take a breath, beloved. I know the tears may still be close. I know the memories may still ache. I know your hands may still tremble when you think about trusting again. But I am telling you the truth. What looked like delay was preparation. What looked like a detour was divine timing. What looked like the enemy winning was actually me building endurance, wisdom, humility, and peace. I have not changed my mind about you, and I have not changed my mind about what I promised. Wait with me a little longer, my child. Not in fear, in faith, because the next part of this story is closer than you think. My child, there is still more I want to show you, and I need you to stay with me for this final part. Because the turning point is not only that I was preparing your soulmate. The turning point is that I was preparing your life to recognize the moment when the waiting would finally begin to lift. And when it does, you will look back and realize I was not merely filling time. I was filling purpose. I want you to remember what I have written, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for peace and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. That word was not given to discourage you in the waiting. It was given to anchor you in it. I have a future for you, beloved. Not a fragmented future. Not a fearful one. A future. And what I promise, I perform. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. I do not start without finishing. I do not call without covering. I do not lead you into a season and then abandon you in the middle of it. So hear me now. The loneliness that has been hanging over you will not have the final word. The betrayal will not have the final word. The rejection, the confusion, the false start, the unanswered text, the broken engagement, the divorce, the financial strain, the diagnosis, the nights of weeping, none of it will define the end of your story. I am the God who restores the years the locust has eaten. I am the God who turns mourning into joy. I am the one who makes all things new. And yes, beloved, even your love story is under my authority. A person can receive nothing unless it is given from heaven. That means no stolen relationship, no counterfeit connection, no accidental union, no force of manipulation can override what I have ordained. If I have written it, no devil can erase it. If I have planted it, no storm can uproot it. If I have joined it, no distance can destroy it before its appointed time. But I need you to know this too. The one I have for you will come to the end of themselves before they come to the beginning of honesty. And that is where my hand will meet them. I am already dealing with what they cannot confess yet. I am already stirring the conviction they have resisted. I am already bringing hidden things into the light. Because what is hidden cannot remain hidden forever when I decide it is time for truth to speak. And when truth rises, fear loses its power. You have not been forgotten, my child. You have been watched over. You have been guarded. You have been carried. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. That is not poetry. That is promise. So when your emotions tell you you are alone, stand on what is written. When your circumstances look delayed, stand on what is written. When your heart starts rehearsing old fear, stand on what is written. And now I want to speak directly to the places where you still hesitate to believe me. I see the part of you that says, Jesus, I want to trust you, but I am scared of being disappointed again. I see the part of you that says, I have hoped before, and it hurt. I see the part of you that says, what if this time is no different? Beloved, I am asking you not to trust the situation. Trust me. Trust my character. Trust the one who held you through what should have broken you. Trust the one who has never lied to you, never failed you, never misjudged your heart. There is one more thing I need to tell you before I pray, and it may surprise you. The very place where you thought your heart was too wounded to love again is the place where I am about to show you how deep my healing goes. Not only in romance, but in peace. Not only in companionship, but in confidence. Not only in who comes to you, but in who you become while waiting. So receive this. Wisdom will guard your steps. Protection will surround your home. Courage will rise where fear has lived too long. Discernment will sharpen. Hope will return. And breakthrough will come at the right hour, not the loudest one. I am at work in ways you cannot yet trace, but soon you will. Now come close, my child. Let me pray over you. Father, I lift my beloved into your hands right now. I thank you for every tear they have cried, every burden they have carried, every night they lay awake feeling forgotten, and every silent prayer they whispered into the dark. You saw it all. You missed nothing. And I ask you now to pour comfort into the places that have been aching for too long. Let peace that passes understanding guard their heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Lord, give them wisdom that is pure, steady, and unshaken. Help them recognize what is from you and what is not. Where confusion has clouded their judgment, bring clarity. Where fear has made them reactive, bring stillness. Where loneliness has tempted them to settle, bring strength. Teach them to hear your voice above every other voice. Teach them to rest when you say rest, to move when you say move, and to wait without despair when you say wait. I ask you, Father, to protect them from every counterfeit connection, every hidden trap, every manipulation, every familiar spirit, every relationship built on selfishness instead of covenant. Surround them with your hedge of protection. Keep their body, their mind, their home, their finances, and their future under the covering of your hand. Let no weapon formed against them prosper. Expose what has been operating in darkness. Bring hidden motives into the light. Shut the door on what is not meant for them, and open the door no person can close. Give them courage, Jesus. Courage to heal. Courage to believe again. Courage to forgive what still stings. Courage to release what cannot go with them into the promise. Courage to stop shrinking in places where you have called them to stand tall. Let their spirit rise with holy confidence. Let them know they are not too broken, too late, too old, too weary, or too wounded for you to use. And Father, where there has been delay, let there now be divine acceleration. Where there has been confusion, let there be testimony. Where there has been grief, let there be joy again. Where there has been longing, let there be fulfillment according to your will. I ask for breakthrough in the unseen places and in the visible ones. Break the chains that have kept this soul bound to fear. Break the cycles of rejection. Break the agreement with lies. Break the silence with your mercy. Bless their future relationship, if it is your will, with tenderness, truth, loyalty, and holy peace. Prepare both hearts to honor you first. Let this love be safe. Let it be mature. Let it be patient. Let it be rooted in faith. Let it bear fruit that lasts. And if there are still lessons to be learned before that day arrives, give them grace to learn without bitterness, endurance without resentment, and hope without compromise. I thank you that nothing is wasted in your hands. I thank you that this story is not ending in despair. I thank you that the soul who felt forgotten is about to see how faithfully you were working all along. Seal this word in their heart. Let it follow them into sleep. Let it steady them in the morning. Let it remind them that you are near. And now, beloved, receive this from me. You are not abandoned. You are being aligned. You are not overlooked. You are being ordered. You are not too late. You are right on time in my hand. Go in peace and watch what I will do.